Counterattack playthrough series. We're playing Barbarossa, Kiev to Rostov, 1941. This is a Eastern Front World War II war game from GMT Games. It's part of their Eastern Front series, which depicts battles on the Eastern Front in World War II. I believe exclusively Barbarossa, and this module for that series is the region between Kiev and Rostov. It comes with a bunch of scenarios, and I consider it a monster game. It has 4 maps, and if I can't fit all the maps on my table, which I can't, it's a monster. However, it's pretty nice in that it comes with a bunch of smaller scenarios, including 2 scenarios that come on just a little tiny card, like this card. So we're going to go ahead and play this one. This is Rostov Redeemed. We can see here the Russians in the sort of orangish brown are ready to counterattack the Germans, who are overextended. Germans are in Rostov on the north side of the Don River. The Don is flowing through here. Rostov is 2 hexes, one there, and the Russians are attempting to attack. This scenario is won by victory points. The Russians will get 2 victory points for capturing either one of these city spaces of Rostov. Plus, they can get a victory point for capturing the town of Bolshie Sally. Sorry for my pronunciation. And Sultan Sally. So there's a total of 6 victory points available. It's actually not too well described how to win this scenario, so I've kind of pieced it together, and I think it's this. The Germans have 2 points, 2 points, 1 point, 1 point, so 6 victory points, and the Russians are going to try to take those points away, so whoever has more points at the end wins. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to have to look up online to see what the real situation is for this scenario, but it's very unclear to me. So anyway, we'll get started shortly here. It is possible to get victory points through other means besides capturing territory, basically by destroying certain enemy units, so we'll see how that works as it progresses. The scenario is only 3 turns long. In fact, it's only 2.5 turns. It's the second half of turn 80, 81, and 82, so you can imagine how long the campaign is. It's starting in November 27th and 28th. At the high level, a game turn is basically bookkeeping at the beginning of the turn, a German turn, a Soviet turn, and then bookkeeping at the end. And so this first turn, turn 80, we're starting with the Soviet turn, so the bookkeeping plus German turn they're being skipped. So that's why this marker is on the Soviet side. There's also a German side. Weather is frost. So let's take a look at the map. By the way, this little scenario card's pretty cool. It's got everything we need, how to set up, special rules, and the battlefield. So, this game is pretty traditional, so I won't go into a lot of details, but I will explain things as we get going. So on the Soviet turn, there's a bunch of phases. And on the German turn, they have the same phases, but they're in a different order. And so the designer indicates that's to model the different ways these armies fought. So for the Soviet turn, they start with a phase called the Motorized movement phase. So we'll go ahead and do that. That's where we're going to have a chance to move our units. And this is a Soviet attack into the Rostov region. They want to try to take Rostov back. You can attack from adjacent locations, so we have a lot of units ready to attack. There's some tough terrain in here. I have no idea, how this game's going to play out. I might do some things that sort of break the scenario, but I'm just going to play by gut feel. So one thing in this movement phase, though, we can move some things, and we have a few units around here that are not adjacent to the enemy, so I'm going to try to do that. So there's basically 4 categories of units you can move in the motorized movement phase. There's going to be another movement phase later after combat. But in the motorized movement phase, the first category of unit is the motorized category. So basically we can move motorized units. Motorized units are indicated by their movement rating. This is attack, defense, and movement, and their movement rating is in a box. So this is a German motorized unit. Well, this is the Soviet turn, so let's find a Soviet motorized unit that we want to move forward. Pretty sure, yeah, there's one in here. So this guy has a movement factor of 5, so in the motorized movement phase, Soviet motorized units can move their full movement allowance. So let's see, where do I want to put them? I'm kind of thinking I want to get units in position to sort of cut through like every other German unit if it's possible, and that might allow them to sort of cut off other German units. So maybe I want this guy to go over here. So like in many games, movement is affected by the terrain you're moving into, presence of enemy units, presence of friendly units, and weather. So let's see, can I even fit in here? There's a stacking limit of how many units you can fit into a space. So to the left of the NATO icon is the stacking value of a unit. So this unit counts as 4 stacking points. And the one underneath is 3, so there's 7 stacking points here. You can have up to 10. Well, this guy's 2, so it can fit. The next we want to see if we can move in there. There's a bunch of kinds of movement in this game. There's a railroad movement, which is disallowed in this scenario, strategic movement, infiltration movement, single hex move, normal movement, reaction movement. So I think we could probably do normal movement into here though, and we'll probably explain all these other ones as we play through. So let's take a look at the terrain. The hex terrain is clear, and we're crossing a river from a swamp or marsh. It's sort of got blue with some grassy things in it. And there's an enemy unit adjacent. Okay, so we want to take into account the terrain and weather. So I'm going to go ahead and look up on the movement chart just so we can see what's going on here. So looks like that terrain that unit is in is swamp. It's got the grassy stuff. But it's in the swamp. There's no negatives for being in the swamp in terms of movement, and it's moving into clear. So let's find clear. Clear is up here. So clear, we come across here. Weather is frost. So it's going to cost 1 movement point to move into frosty, clear terrain. Notice if there was mud, it would cost 2, plus there's some other thing going on. And if there's snow, it'll cost 2. So as the weather worsens from dry to muddy, wet, the movement gets slower, but then it freezes and gets easier, but then snow falls and gets harder. So it's going to cost 1. But there's also a river to cross. So let's go see. River. So it's just a thin river. Plus 1 to the move. So that was 1 to move in, plus 1 to cross the river. Okay. I kind of made a mess over here with my camera mount, but so that's going to cost 2 to move into here. However, there's an enemy unit projecting a zone of control into this hex. The zone of control, as in many war games, represents the area of influence of a unit. It's the 6 surrounding hexes. You can think of it as this unit doesn't actually completely exist inside the hex. It spills out into these other hexes a little bit. Maybe it has patrols out. Maybe its weapons can fire out. So it's exerting a zone of control into this hex. When you move into an enemy zone of control, you have to add a movement point and stop movement. So that's 1 for frost in clear frost, 1 for the river, and 1 for the zone of control. Well, we have 5 movement points, so no problem. Okay. Sorry to be tedious there, but there's a lot of little intricacies to the movement, so I just figured I'd go a little extra detail there. Okay, so let's see. Are there any other motorized units that are not up against the enemy, and I don't think so. No. Okay, so the next category of movement in the motorized movement phase is cavalry. So they're not motorized, but they're highly maneuverable or mobile. So we can move cavalry as well. This is a symbol for cavalry. So there's a few of them. So cavalry units can move at half their movement rate in this phase. So this guy's going to move at 6, cut in half to 3. So where do I want to move him? Take a look at stacking in here. Looks like we have 7. So I could fit him into there. Could I fit him into here? 3, 7, 8, 9. No. So I guess we'll put him into here. What kind of terrain is this? This is marsh, and it's going to be crossing a river. So I'm looking up on the chart. Marsh costs 1, crossing river plus 1, so that's 2. Moving into enemy zone of control, 3. There's 2 enemy zones of control from here and here. Doesn't matter. So, bam. Okay, let's see. Any other moves? So this is an artillery unit. It could move forward, but sorry, it can't move forward. But if it could, it wouldn't make sense because it has a range here. Its range is 2, so it can potentially support attacks into these hexes. So I'll just leave it there. Even if I could move it, I would leave it there. I cannot move it though. Let's find some more cavalry. Here's some cavalry, and looks like we have a few down here. So maybe this is a good target hex. What's the situation here? We have 5. It's in swamp. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I have to remember this. Okay, grassy stuff is swamp. Grassy wet stuff. So let's see. Stacking is 5, so we can go 6, 7, 8. Move in there. So that was swamp to swamp. No problem. Okay, then we have another one. I cannot fit it in there. There's not enough room. So might as well move it up to here. Okay. I believe that's all the cavalry. So the other category, the third of the 4 categories during this phase, is non-motorized, non-cavalry units that a headquarters orders to move. So in general, only cavalry and motorized units move in this phase. However, a headquarters can order additional units to move, but they will forego movement in the normal movement phase. So only the Soviets have headquarters. We can see one here. I believe the Germans don't have them because the headquarters, just from reading the rules, I'm guessing they're sort of limit the flexibility of the Soviets because you have to have a headquarters to do certain things, and they can be suppressed in certain ways that make them actually detrimental. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. So the headquarters to the left of the NATO symbol is a 1. That's not its stacking value. Headquarters stacking value is 0. So this 1 is its command value. And you can tell the difference as a reminder that its command value on a headquarters is green, and the name is green there, so I guess that correlates, where stacking is black. So a headquarters can spend, for each command point it has, it can spend 1 command point to order a unit that normally wouldn't be able to move and have it move. It has to be within 4 hexes of the headquarters. So, for example, it can go 1, 2, 3, 4 and order this guy. Problem is, I don't see anything for it to order that I would want to anyway. I think I want the artillery to stay in position. There's artillery here that I want to stay in position. So there's not one of those categories of units to move. Now, I could have ordered this guy to move. However, I'm going to do the 4th category of unit, and you can move in this phase, and that is guards units. So GD for guard, red icon background for guard. So guards are sort of like Soviet I suppose, elite or at least well-equipped and well-trained units. This is a rocket artillery unit, so probably like Katyusha rockets. A headquarters can order one guard unit per motorized movement phase for free. It doesn't have to spend its command point. So like this headquarters could have ordered one unit to move and ordered this guard to move. So I think I'm going to have it order the guard to move. It is an artillery unit. Its range is 1. That's too far away for it to do anything. So I think we'll move it into this area. So see, there's a rail line and a road crossing this river here. So the road negates the river, and it's a main road, so that costs half a movement point. This guy is has 8 movement points, so he'll just spend 7.5. So he has 7.5 left. Has to stop because it entered his zone of control. Had to add 1 for the enemy zone of control as well, so spent 1.5. So this headquarters ordered it for free to move forward. Now it's in range. And I think that's the entire move we're going to do before we get down to the nitty-gritty. Okay, next, the Soviets issue attack orders. They're going to declare their intention to attack certain German hexes. And so there's quite a few little explanations about what you're allowed to attack. First of all, when you declare an attack, you must have at least 1 to 4 combat odds. So that would be like attacker adds up their attack strengths, compares to the defender defense strengths, and the ratio better be at least 1 to 4. I mean, that sounds like a pretty horrible attack anyway, but you can't have less than that. And of course, you can like designate like, oh, this entire stack is going to attack here. And so if I was going to do that, that'd be 2 plus 2 plus 3, so 7 to 2, 3 to 1. But you can also have other units join in. You know, you can have many attackers from different hexes attacking a same hex. So I could even throw 5 more into that, you know. So there's that. So you have to have 1 to 4 odds or greater. And you're probably always going to want greater. Another requirement, well, is you might not be able to actually attack the unit even if you're adjacent to it. So enemy units exert zones of control. Most do anyway. Any unit that does not have, or that has a yellow band across the top, does not exert a zone of control. So all these guys, the Soviet guys, do not exert zones of control. All these Germans do. There's no yellow band. There's probably one with a yellow band in here. Yeah, like that engineer. So if a unit does not exert a zone of control into your hex, the hex you're attacking from, you might not be able to attack. Let's see, how does this go? If your unit is able to enter the terrain of the defender, you can attack it, for sure, regardless of zone of control. If your unit cannot enter the terrain, for example, in dry weather, armor, I think, can't enter a swamp. So if an armored unit was going to attack an enemy unit in a swamp, and the enemy unit did not have a zone of control exerted into the attacker's hex, it would not be able to attack. This sounds a little complicated, and I'm probably not explaining it very well, but here's the way I think of it. I think of a zone of control as being like this, for example, this unit, its components, like, you know, the tanks and the troops and stuff, are not all just in this hex. They're sort of spilling out into these hexes. Maybe there's a defensive line that goes from out here all the way back into here. And so that's why there's a zone of control. And so imagine a tank trying to attack that unit and it's in a swamp. Well, the tank can attack it because the zone of control, because it has a zone of control exerted into the tank's hex. Think of it as the units are at the edge of the swamp, they're just outside the swamp, they're within range of the tanks, just outside the swamp, so they can be attacked. But if it was a unit without a zone of control, for example, I don't know, 20 artillery cannons in the middle of the swamp. They don't bleed out into other hexes, then the tank can't attack those units without driving into the swamp. I don't know if that helps, but that helps me. So maybe we'll just play and it'll be more clear. So we need to be able to attack into a hex by either being able to move into the hex, or if not able to move into the hex, have a zone of control exerted upon us. So I believe the entire line here is completely attackable by everything. Germans don't have very good terrain. They are in a major city, but everything is able to go into a major city because of the road network. So we're good there. So now we're going to declare attacks. Trying to think, was there one? Yes, there's one other little wrinkle, which I'll cover in a sec. So what we do is we just go ahead and mark with our attack orders on the hexes we want to attack. So if I want to attack this guy, I would just put that there. And I would say, for example, these two stacks are going to attack there, and I proved it's more than 1 to 4. I actually, because there's an arrow on this, really wanted to like put the attack orders like on the units pointing at it, but it says put it on the hex. So just by going like this and saying these two guys are going to attack here, I actually can't do that. There's something else I have to do. If there's a unit attacking, for example, this unit is attacking here, and there's another enemy unit exerting a zone of control into its hex, for example, this guy exerts a zone of control into its hex, then this unit must be attacked by someone. So I could like say, okay, well, these guys are going to attack here, and then this guy is going to attack here, and then the guy underneath is going to attack here at 3 to 2 odds. Yeah, is that what that was? Yeah, 3 to 2 odds. So I could do that, or I could just say they're not going to attack at all, and then this guy doesn't have to be attacked because no one next to it is attacking someone else. So, but I also have this unit, this stack of units is next to this guy, so this guy has to be attacked. So I could end up with like this chain of like required attacks. So I'm gonna try to see what I want to do here. I don't know how bloody this is going to be, so I think I'm going to say we'll say this unit is going to attack here at 1 to 1. These two units will attack here at 5 to 2, so that's still good. Should get more attack markers. I think we'll have one more cavalry attack here, so that's, and then the guy underneath the cavalry will attack here. So just attacking all along the line. By the way, there are supply rules in this game. This scenario cuts out almost all of them. So normally you might not be doing this massive attack if you didn't have a bunch of supplies ready. Okay, so all these guys are attacking here. One attack I wanted to do was this guy against here, so that's a safe attack because no one is adjacent to this guy. So do I want other guys to attack here? I think I do. I think all the guys in here, minus this infantry maybe, are going to attack here as well. This guy and this guy are going to attack here, so that is 5 to 2. Now terrain does modify attack odds. I should go see if these odds that I'm calculating need to take into account terrain. Does not appear we take terrain into account during this attack declaration. There's going to be more things happening before the actual attacks take place. Right now we're just ordering the attacks. So I'm just tempted to just send everyone in all along the line. This might be silly, but 3 to 1 odds, let's go for it. What can happen? What could go wrong? So, I mean, I want to take Rostov. So, yeah, we'll just send these 2 stacks in. It's all greater than 1 to 4. Okay. Veteran players will probably think this is stupid, but who knows? Okay, that was the issue of attack orders. Okay, now we're going to process the German reaction. The Germans are able to react before combat happens, in a limited fashion anyway. Before I do that, the scenario instructions say that all German units are in emergency supply. That basically means they're about to run out of supply. And I normally would put this marker on every German unit that is in emergency supply. I'm just going to throw it here rather than clutter everything up. We'll just remember all Germans are in emergency supply. I don't think it actually matters, but for this scenario. Okay, so any German unit that is not in an enemy zone of control, that is motorized, can move up to half its movement factors if it's within 3 spaces of a declared attack. So if I did not declare any attacks, no German reaction could happen. So we happen to have a German motorized unit. It's within 3 hexes of multiple declared attacks and not in a zone of control. So it can move half its movement points, and it can move anywhere at once. It doesn't have to go towards an attack, but it can move right into a hex that's being attacked. One thing it cannot move into is a hex next to an attacking unit that is not also being attacked. For example, if it were able to get over here, it couldn't do that because it would end up making this unit violating a rule, which is you must attack every unit next to you. So the only thing is you can't move next to an attacker that is not also in a hex being attacked. So how about we'll have this guy react and, just for fun, try to block an important spot. So I feel like Rostov is key because it's worth 2, each of these hexes is worth 2 points. This guy doesn't look very formidable. So maybe we'll move this guy. He'll go, let's see, we're in Frost and clear, so he can go 1. And then this is like a little track or something. Let's see, it's a minor road in clear terrain. In Frost, okay, costs 1, so it basically doesn't even matter. So it goes 1, 2, and normally you'd pay, sorry, this is 1, yeah, 2. Sorry, hold on here, moved into a major city, half a movement point. Okay, normally you'd also pay a movement point to enter an enemy zone of control, but not during reaction, so that's a little bonus when you're reacting. Let's go ahead and move this guy in. Is there anyone else to react? Yes. It's a little engineer unit here. Not sure if this is wasteful to, like, my engineer is going to be destroyed. I think I want it to react into Rostov as well. I think we'll have it go into here. Okay. So next, the Germans, as part of their reaction, can declare artillery is supporting the defense. And they do have this artillery unit here. Its range is 2. So I can say it's going to support one of these attacks. Now the rules say you have to declare it and you can't change which battle it's going to take place in, but I don't see any way to remember it. If I was playing a big scenario with, like, I don't know, 100 units, I'm not sure how I would remember which artillery was going for which battle, which makes me think I should be using arrows, but so maybe we'll say the artillery is going to support that battle. Yeah, I'm going to ask online. I kind of looked around already, but it's not clear to me how you're supposed to manage this. But I don't think I'm doing anything wrong here. So that artillery unit is going to support this battle. Should have mentioned using artillery for this kind of thing, you have to be in attack supply. That's a special supply state. But this scenario just says ignore everything about attack supply. So I'm just going to go with it then. Okay, next, the defender can issue defense orders. basically there's two defense orders. There is no retreat and somewhere around here, additional retreat. And we do it on a unit by unit basis. No retreat basically allows you to ignore a retreat result of the combat, but you take an extra loss. There's a few little exceptions in there. And likewise for this one, additional retreat. If you retreat, you can retreat 3 hexes instead of 2. But the enemy gets to choose the retreat path, but they can't choose one that would cause you harm if there's a better alternative. So the question is, do I want to issue these? Well, I definitely don't want to issue any additional retreats. There's no real space to retreat. Though this guy might be a nice additional retreat. He's going to stay on the river. I think I might want to issue a no retreat here. Let's hold that city. Is that what I want? Yeah. So you do it secretly though. I'm playing solo, so I know what's going on, of course. So I'm going to just say like, oh, I've issued some orders. And the Soviets will have to wonder, oh, was that a no retreat or an additional retreat? I have a pretty good idea what it is though. I'm going to do the same thing here. This might be silly, like I'm just going to bleed these guys dry. Okay, so the reaction of the Germans is done. So now we're entering the combat phase. There's a bunch of things we have to do here. The first one is the Soviets can send air units to attack the defensive hex. So this scenario has a single air unit. It's in the ready box. It's in a chart off the map. So ready makes it eligible to fly on. Here it comes. It's a DB-3 bomber. I think I'm going to have it bombard here. Is that what I want? Yeah, I think I just want to push them out of Rostov. Okay. So normally you would fly it in like this, so that the German doesn't know what it is. Because there's other kinds of units. There's fighters, there's a dummy unit, so there's like fake air unit. So you can try to sucker the German defenses in. Now in this scenario, there are no German air units, so it's sort of moot. Okay, now we have to resolve anti-aircraft fire. Basically, we want to take a look at all the units that are adjacent to the target hex, enemy units, and the target hex itself. So there's a unit here, 2 here, and 2 here. They all have zones of control. None of them are cavalry, so they all are capable of firing on the aircraft, anti-aircraft. Let's come over here and check out the AA fire table. So basically we're going to roll a 10-sided die. Go ahead and do that. Got an 8. And right now that we're looking at mission aborted, but let's do some modifiers. Are we firing? Soviet firing? No. Axis firing. Any firing units bears an added supply marker? No. +1 per firing anti-aircraft type unit. Okay, so I guess that's 5 +5. I don't think that's right. I'm guessing they're actual anti-aircraft batteries. So I'll look that up. And then -1 for firing on an IL-2. Let me look up that per firing AA type. Yeah, my reading is this is for special anti-aircraft type units, which are none in this scenario as far as I can tell. So that was just a straight 8. The mission is aborted. So basically I move the aircraft back over to the Soviet board. I got a lot of charts here. I'm going to put it in the, let's see, where is it? Right here, the flown box. Here's destroyed, damaged, flown, and ready. And so I'm assuming on the next turn we'll figure out how to do that. Okay, well that's too bad. Okay, so now we are ready for the actual attack. This is going to be a little tedious because there's a lot of little details. So as the attacker, I can choose which attack hex I want to attack first. I need to make sure I don't violate any of the rules like not attacking something that I have to attack. So I think I want to start with this guy and just see what happens. So let me take this off. So we have this guy. It's in clear terrain. These three guys are attacking. And I think I said I was going to throw some more guys in. I think these three guys will come in, and then this guy will be saved for this attack over here. So, so for this attack, I could allocate artillery support if I had any artillery in range. I actually do. This guy's in range. I believe he would add 2 points to the attack. And if I want this attack to be really successful, maybe I should do that. Or I could help this attack. I think we'll do this attack. So we'll add 2 artillery support to that. I total up the attack strengths. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. Just kind of reading through a bunch of little details here. A bunch of steps. Some of them aren't applicable. German strength is 2. I could, there is no artillery allocated to it. So 17 to 2, yeah, that's pretty solid. 8 to 1 at the moment. Then we would spend supply to get into attack supply if we wanted to, but that doesn't count for this scenario. Determine the final odds, already did that. Oh, now the attacker can issue retreat or extra additional retreat or no retreat orders to their own units. So I guess if things went really bad, you could try to avoid retreating yourself. I guess the attacker can retreat. I'm not going to do that. And then we calculate die roll modifiers and move on with the attack. Now I've ignored terrain, and terrain is now comes into play here. So I might have to redo the odds calculation. So first off, let's getting the terrain chart out. Let's see what the terrain is. So these attackers are just clear over to clear. These attackers are attacking from marsh across a river. So so clear into clear. Here's clear. Combat die roll modifiers none. Let's take a look at marsh. None. River. In dry mud and frost weather, +1 die roll modifier. So I guess +1's bad. And no combined arms bonus if all attacking units attack across. So not all attacking units are attacking across, just some are. So I don't have to do that. That's +1 die roll, no. Yeah, that's my reading. So I do not have to do that die roll modifier. Okay. Let's see, there's some other interesting things here. So combined armor bonus, that's only for Germans. Oh wait, no it's not. I need to go look that up. Panzer integrity, division integrity, that's the thing, only for Germans. Overruns, I didn't talk about overruns. When moving, if you have a very high odds ratio of attack strength to defense strength, you could basically do an attack while moving. It's tougher for the Soviets, and I didn't have the opportunity. Defender supply doesn't count. No one's out of supply. No engineers involved, no combat air support. There is artillery support in dry frost and snow, full support factor. If it was mud, it would be half. Okay. Super heavy artillery, nope. Okay, so that was all combat effects beneficial to the attacker. So none of those matter. Maybe combine arms, okay. So we'll look at that in a second. To the defender. Terrain, we already looked at. There's no strong points. Attack supply is irrelevant in this scenario. Defender, no retreat order, not on there. Defender, combat air support, nope. Artillery support, nope. Okay, so the only thing is combined arms bonus that might affect this attack. So let me check that. Okay, so combined arms is in effect. So basically, if you have an armor unit attacking with, there's a bunch of categories, but you know, with infantry, with recon, stuff like that. So we have the case. Here's infantry, here's armor, attacking together. From clear, so there's, you know, there's a bunch of little rules about, you know, if everyone's attacking across a river, blah, blah, blah. But basically it applies, so it's going to be a -1 die roll modifier. So I think we have it all good. So now we're going to come over and roll for the attack. Recall that was 8-1. Hoping this is devastating. 8-1, -1. Roll to 6. 6 and 8-1, -1. Okay. So we get the top part is the attacker's result. So nothing happens. This is the defender's result. 3R. 3 is the number of steps lost. And then R is a retreat. All the remaining affected units are retreated 2 hexes. So, how many steps do we have here? I need to figure this out. I think it's, yeah, I need to take a look at how to deal with this. Okay, so units have between 1 and 4 steps. You look at the front of the unit. So this guy was already reduced at the start of the scenario. You look at his defense strength. If it's 8 or more, it has 4 steps. If it's 5 or more, 3 steps. If it doesn't have anything on the side, it's 1 step, and otherwise it has 2 steps. So this guy has 2 steps. It just took 3 losses. So it's destroyed. And so it does not have to retreat. So now I'm going to process the destruction of those steps. I might have to record something, and then we'll do an advance. Okay, there's no bookkeeping to do. If an armor or artillery unit had been destroyed, we would track that, and if we hit a certain threshold, I think it's 5, a victory point would be awarded. Okay, so we can advance after combat, as few or many units as I want into this location. I think we'll advance this infantry, this cavalry. Let's see, what are we looking at? 7, 8, 9 with the tank. Maybe we'll leave the tank there. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10, another cavalry. This guy was not part of the attack. I think I added it up during the attack, but I've since made sure that attack was legit with this guy not taking part. So these guys will just hang out here. Since the advance was maxed out. Now this guy has not attacked yet. So maybe I will just offset it to remind myself. Okay, well, we have a bunch more attacks to do, so we'll try to speed this up. So now this guy's here, he exerts a zone of control to here, which blocks this guy. So if this guy's retreat path goes through a zone of control, that's probably going to be bad. Maybe we'll do this attack next. Hopefully can get an advance here. Yeah, I'd like to maybe advance here, if possible, cut this guy off, then attack. He'd have trouble retreating. I'm talking about these guys here. Here, this guy gets cut off. Okay, so we'll do this attack. Bam, bam. So, there's no supporting artillery. Defender is in clear, so this is going to be some bad stuff for the attacker, I think. So, by the way, you have to go through with the attacks you declared. You can rearrange all the units. Like when you declared the attacks, you know, I was saying, oh, these units will attack, these units will attack. You don't have to stick to which units are going to do the attacking, but you must go through with the attack. Okay, so let's see. We have attacking from marsh across a river, and then attacking across a major river with a bridge. Let me check that out. Okay, so attacking across a major river in Frost, all attackers half attack strength. So this guy will be a 1. And then over here, we're attacking from a marsh in Frost weather, no effect. And then there is a +1 die roll modifier for if all attacking units are attacking across a normal river as opposed to a major river. Well, only this guy is. So it appears, oh, and the defender hex, just clear. So it appears this is a 3 + 1 is 4 against 2, so that's 2 to 1 attack. The attacker is not going to issue any retreat or defend at all costs, whatever it's called, orders. Let's go ahead and check this out. So find the 2 to 1 there over on the right. I'm rolling a 10-sided die. I rolled a 7. So 7 on, sorry for the poor camera work here. 7 on a 2 to 1. We have 7, 2 to 1. That would be nothing for the attacker, enemy, or defender, retreat. Okay, so we'll go ahead and process this retreat. So he has to retreat 2 hexes. That's a standard retreat. So if it went here, it would be in an enemy zone of control and potentially take losses. It's already on its weak side. This is a 2-step unit. So it would be destroyed, I believe, if going through there, but I'm not going to figure that out just yet because I can retreat without doing that. So I can retreat through an enemy zone of control safely if there's an enemy unit in the way, or occupying the hex where the zone of control is, so right here. So, and even if I were to violate stacking, it's okay as long as I don't end there. So we'll go ahead and retreat 1, 2 to get out of the zone of control. So we'll go here. And then the attacker can advance. So we'll go ahead and get these guys across the river and move this guy forward as well. Okay, I think the next attack we'll do is this one up here. What do we have here? We have, looks like a recon, armored recon unit. Defense is 2, it's in clear. The attackers, these guys have not attacked yet. So attack is 3 and 1 armor. So the combined arms bonus, I need to double check. I don't think cavalry can be used to make a combined arms bonus with that armor. No, it has to be reconnaissance, motorized infantry, engineer, or a motorcycle. So no tank, or no cavalry. Plus the defender would probably cancel it out, but we'll find out when it actually matters. So what do we have going on here? We have 4 attack against 2 defense. That's 2 to 1. The terrain here is nice and clear for both sides. Attacker chooses not to issue any further orders. So we'll go ahead and roll this. 2 to 1. Rolled a 4. 2 to 1, 4. That's 1 each. Okay, so attacker could wound the cavalry or destroy the tank. I think we'll wound the cavalry. And then the defender wounded as well. Battle over. Okay. What else we have going on here? Maybe we'll start over down here. I'm saving Rostov for last, I think. Maybe we'll attack here next. Maybe so with these units, they can pile into here. Well, I'm trying to figure out a situation where I can like make it difficult for the Germans to retreat if there's a successful attack. So maybe instead these guys will go here if they get here, their zone of control will extend over here. And then if these guys retreat when they're subsequently attacked, they'd be in a difficult position, but they could just go like this. So I guess it's going to be difficult to get any kind of situation like that. Yeah, maybe we'll just do this one here first. Okay, we're going to do, this is 3 units here, 2 infantry and a cavalry. It looks like the total attack strength is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are in swamp, it looks like. So remember, swamp is the grassy stuff. This is marsh. The enemy has some orders. They're armored, and then they're in clear, but the attacker is crossing a river. Yes, so from swamp, crossing river. So attacking out of a swamp. In frost conditions, attacker is halved. Attack strength is halved. So sorry, what was that? That was, I think, 7, so 3.5 attack strength. And then across a river, that's going to be a +1 die roll modifier. I guess we'll go ahead and throw this artillery in, so that'll be 1 support. So that's 4.5 to 2. So it goes down to 2 to 1. And I won't show the combat results table every time, just maybe 1 or 2 more times. 2 to 1, I rolled a 2. Let's see, a 2 on 2 to 1 is 1 star 2. Interesting. Okay, so let's figure out what 1 star is. A star is additional special cases that might inflict more losses, potentially many more losses. They involve, if we're attacking with armor or engineers, they might end up taking losses themselves, specifically, as opposed to the attacker getting to choose things. Also, if we're attacking without attack supply, we would take an additional loss. This scenario says don't use attack supply, so I'm just going to ignore that. Otherwise, I would take an extra loss. If this was a Soviet-mandated attack, which we're not talking about in this scenario, that they would take an additional loss. And if we're attacking a fortification, it could be an additional loss. So it could potentially be like 3 to 5 extra losses, depending on the situation. So, so we'll take our 1 loss, and I think we'll flip the cavalry. Okay, and then the defender takes 2. And this is 1 step, I believe. Yep. That's an armor loss. So I'm incrementing the step losses for armor for the Germans. And attackers can advance after combat. Maybe we'll advance with the cavalry. I don't think I want to advance with everyone. So maybe we'll advance with this guy too. So I'm not planning on these attacks actually happening successfully. Okay, but speaking of those, let's do them. So here's the situation. We have 2 guys to attack. We have 1 stack here. Let's see, they're both in clear, but behind a river. Attackers attacking at a swamp. So I could say, like, these 2 guys are combining 5 divided by 2 would be 2.5, and have them both attack these guys simultaneously. So that'd be 2.5 to 4. Or I could have them, like, 1 guy go against this, that'd be a 1 to 2, and 1 guy go against this, that'd be a 1.5 to 2. So I need to decide that. But now that I'm looking at this, I just realized I had a +1 die roll modifier on that prior attack. Let me go check if there's any different changes. Yes, it would have been a slash for the Allies, so no loss, and 1 step loss for the Germans with no asterisk. So our cavalry is full strength. Okay. Man, Germans just getting hammered here, I guess. These attacks were probably silly, but I think I'm going to do 1 at a time. So how about we'll do this cavalry against this guy here. So it's going to attack at 1 because it's attacking from swamp, +1 across the river. This artillery is already fired, so it doesn't get to help. So 1 to 2 with a +1. Oh, rolled a 1 on 1 to 2. Plus 1 is 1 star R. So star is irrelevant, but 1 dead. Oh, not dead. I thought this was a single step unit. So there's his 1 loss. And then the retreat. This guy has to go 2 hexes. And you must end 2 hexes away from where you started, so he can't retreat like he can't retreat like 1, 2, because he'd still be only 1 hex away. So I guess we'll go 1, 2. Okay, and then advance after combat. Okay. Let me make sure I did that correctly. So 1 to 2, with it rolling a 1 would have been 1 attacker, 1 defender loss. With a +1 though, so the +1 actually was slightly weaker, which makes sense. 1 attacker loss, 1 defender retreat. Okay, so let's do this guy now. This is 1.5 because we're attacking from swamp. +1 to the die roll against 2. Ooh, I didn't realize there is some extra terrain there. That is a town. In Frost, there is no benefit to being in a town. If it was a mud or snow, there'd be a +1 die roll modifier. Okay, so 1.5 to 2. The best odds are, let me go see. Yeah, it's the first game I've seen with a 3 to 4 odds. So 1.5 to 2 is 3 to 4. We're rolling. I got a 7, and we're going to add 1 for the river. So on 3 to 4, 7, +1 is 8. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I keep forgetting. I want to roll low, not high. So that's 1 attacker loss with a retreat. So this guy's going to flip. And must retreat 2 hexes. So I guess he's going to have to retreat this way across this bridge. This bridge is bridging this part of the river. So 1, 2. So that guy survives. Okay. Down to just a few attacks left. Which one do I want to do? I guess we want to attack the guy on the left first. This guy. So I think this stack is going to attack here. This stack is going to attack here. I need to remember I do have some artillery back here. So let's do this one. Defender, remember this is where the, what is this? The 93rd Regiment of the 13th Panzer reacted and rolled into this location. So it's 2 defense plus 2 is 4. I'm in a major city. Major city, +1 die roll modifier if you're Axis. No combined arms value allowed. Attacking armor halved. Okay, well, we don't have attacking armor, I don't think. So it's +1 die roll modifier and the defense is 4. So in here, our attackers are at 5 attack. 5 to 4, but we're attacking from marsh. Okay, and in frost it's basically frozen. So 5 to 4, and then this rocket artillery has a range of 1, so we can bombard here. So 3 plus 5. There's actually a limit to how much artillery you can use. I don't think it can exceed the attack factors of the combatants. So anyway, we got 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 to 4, 2 to 1, plus 1. Oh, okay, I rolled a 9, but I forgot one more detail. This artillery had been pre-designated to support this attack. So it's actually 8 to 6, which would be, what's that, a 4 to 3 odds? Let me see what we have on the CRT. The best odds are 1 to 1 because of that artillery. So that dropped, I went 2 columns left because of that artillery. So that's good. So anyway, I rolled a 9, which is horrible anyway. 9 plus 1 to 10, 2 attacker retreats, or 2 losses and then an attacker retreat. So that's absolutely awful. What are the losses we want to take? Well, I don't want to give them a point for destroying this. It's a guard unit. Not going to have much of a choice here, so we'll flip this guy. That's 1 loss. And then this guy's destroyed. And then all units must retreat 2 hexes. We'll go 1, 2, back to here. Okay. Let's see what these orders were. There was no retreat. So no retreat orders mean the defender takes an extra step loss upon a retreat and can cancel the retreat. So, but they did not get that. Okay. Final attack. Let's tidy this up so that artillery fired. So I thought this was going too easy for the Soviets. Okay, let's check out what we have here with this attack. Might as well see what the orders are. It's also no retreat. Defense is 3. We have some engineers. Major city +1. We're attacking across a major river. You know, I think I screwed up on that last attack. I think the odds were even worse. Let me go check because I should have cut it in half for crossing a major river. Okay, it was slightly off. Attack strength was, I think, 5. Crossing a river, major river, cut in half to 2.5. Artillery support was 3, so that would have been 5.5. Except artillery support cannot exceed the attacks of the ground units or direct fire units, whatever you want to call them. So the attack would have been 5 to 6, and so but looking at what was rolled and everything, same result. So anyway, let's get this going here. So we're attacking across a major river into a major city. So attackers have +1 to the die roll modifier. What do we have here? It's not going to be good. Okay, good. Here's a strong guy. 5. We're not attacking from bad terrain. 5, 6, 7. And then this artillery back here will give it support. So that's 9. 9 to 3. Oh, 3 to 1. Nope, hold on. 7 cut in half, 3.5. 3.5 plus 2 is 5.5. 5.5 attacking 3 is 3 to 2. Yes, 3 to 2. And then it's +1 for the river. Rolled a 6 on 3 to 2, +1. Attacker retreats. So Rostov was not redeemed on turn 1. So I guess this whole mess is going to go back 2 hexes, maybe a little. These guys will go like this. 1. Oh, these don't have zones of control, these yellow guys. 1, 2. You know what? They need to protect this headquarters. They're all going to just pile up here. I think I have enough stacking. Let's see. 1, 2, or 0. So 1, 2, 6, 7. So that was bad. But that does end the Soviet combat phase. I should mention the losses that were taken. If they aren't destroyed via an eliminated item on the combat results table, for example, there's an E here for eliminated. And if they're not, weren't forced to retreat through an enemy zone of control, eliminated that way, and maybe a few other things, they go to the cadre box here. Otherwise, I would have gone to the eliminated units box. There's certain units that can't be rebuilt, so I think the cadre box is going to allow for rebuilding these units, and then they'd switch to the active box, ready to be reinforcements. So we have a Soviet Union unit over in their cadre box as well. And since I didn't show it, there's axis loss replacement track. So I believe this guy probably counts as armor. I'll double check later when it matters. Assuming it's armor, I incremented the step losses to 1. If it gets to 5, that would be a point for the Soviets. I have another correction from the last battle. So these guys retreated to here, from here. So one thing though, there's an NKVD unit here. That is, and it's a security infantry. Those guys, basically are preventing units from retreating. It's like a no retreat order was issued because these guys have their own machine guns pointed at their comrades to steal their nerve. So that actually canceled the retreat. And while I probably don't like the idea of these NKVD units, it actually helps in this situation because I take an extra loss and don't retreat. So I think we'll just destroy this little guy here and not retreat. Yeah, I like that. And okay, now it is the combat phase is over. Okay, so now we're going to do the Soviet movement phase. So they started with a motorized movement, then went to combat. Now it's movement. So all units are allowed to move except units that were activated by a headquarters. And I forgot to mark that guy. This artillery unit here should have been marked as activated by a headquarters. So that means it can't move during this movement phase because it did its official move in the motorized movement phase. Also, there's some other categories of units that can't move. So motorized units receive only half their movement points because they used all of them in the motorized movement phase. And then everything else is pretty much normal here. So what do we want to do here? So I can recover from those retreats. It's kind of interesting. They retreat, but then I can just move right back. Not so sure about that. So what do we have here? So this guy's move is 4. He can cross this bridge into what is that? That swamp. Entering swamp, non-motorized, in frost, costs 2. So we'll go 1, 2. And then I'm in a zone of control, so that would be 3. And then I can't move further. This guy here, well, he could run in and take, what's it called? Sultan Sally, by using infiltration movement. Let me go remind myself how that works. Well, it's pretty simple. Cavalry units with a movement factor of 6 or motorized units can just go from one zone of control to another, which is normally illegal. So that's infiltration movement. We've just captured Sultan Sally. So I'm going to drop the German victory points from 6 to 5 because of that. Okay. What else we have here? Is there any cavalry in here? There is. I think they're going to infiltrate too. This might be silly, but I'm just creating a bunch of easy kills back here for the Germans maybe, but see how this is going. What do we have here? There's some infantry. they cannot infiltrate. So this guy's zone of control is preventing that. Sorry, I'm talking about, yeah, these guys here. Okay, over here, we'll try to fix this situation. This guy has 4 movement factors. Moving along the road, 1, 2. Actually, it's a main road in Frost, costs half, so that only costs 1 to get up there, plus 1 for entering enemy zone of control, so that was 2 total. This artillery already was activated. Almost inclined not to put this guy here because the Germans might want to attack, but you know, we'll leave it for a sec. Let's see, maybe I want this guy to leave the German zone of control. It's going to move along a rail line. Rail line uses other terrain. The other terrain is clear. Yes. Clear here. Well, it's a town. But the rail line does cancel the effects of rivers, I believe. I need to make sure. Yeah, moving along the railroad cancels the river, but it doesn't cancel the terrain. So entering a town is other terrain, so it's clear. So this will be 1, and then do it again. Moving into, what is it? Marsh costs a 1 also in Frost, so that's 2 plus 1 for the zone of control, 3. So I'm just thinking, put him here. If there's some kind of retreat result going on, he will just let the other guy die and hold the line. Maybe I do like those guys. Okay, so all those guys have moved. What do we have up here? Yeah, so when I was advancing units, rather than advancing this armor, which would have worked, I guess, but I wanted cavalry up here for that infiltration situation. So these guys are going to infiltrate. And then, man, how are the Germans going to win this? I just feel like the Russians are going to kill them. Okay, then this guy will go join this guy. This guy's going to do a 1 hex move. 1 hex move. Yeah, I think that's the Soviet movement phase. Okay, the next phase is the Soviet engineering phase. I don't see, there's a bunch of things you can do, and I don't see any of them are applicable. One thing which I haven't read about yet is building strong points. They're on the attack right now, so no need to do that. Maybe that'll happen in the German phase. Though it just seems like the Germans need to counterattack. No strong point building, wasting time. Okay, so then we move to the Soviet surrender phase. So any Soviet units that are like completely cut off, they can't trace a path to a major city. And my reading of it is it doesn't matter like the terrain or anything. They roll to see if they surrender. And all units, even though some are, you know, a tenuous distance from, or, you know, tenuously behind the enemy, can trace to a major city. So none of these guys are eligible for surrender. Then there's the, so that ends the Soviet turn. And then we enter the game turn interphase, which, you know, sort of the end of turn bookkeeping. We remove all activated markers, things at headquarters activated. So this thing is gone. And then there's a few other bookkeeping type things that aren't applicable for this scenario. Then we move the turn marker forward. So game turn flips to the German side. We're going to start turn 81. And one little correction I need to make is that this German unit over here, so where is it? It's a recon unit. And I was trying to see like, oh, does that count as armor? It does not. There's a unit symbols chart, and it says these 3 unit types are considered armor. Assault gun, armor, armored anti-tank, reconnaissance is not. So that doesn't count or contribute to getting a point for the Soviets. So that's the end of turn 1, or also known as turn 80. See ya.